Hi, everyone. Welcome to day one, the 2023 Sundance Film Festival. I have to take a breath. That's an emotional thing to say, right? It's taken a couple of years for us to get here. So I'm Eugene Hernandez. I'm the incoming festival director and head of public programming here at Sundance Institute. Welcome to the Sundance Scoop. I'm really excited, on a personal note, to have you all here, and also to those who are tuning in at home and joining us virtually. Welcome. I'm gonna ask some questions. You're gonna ask some questions. Please join me in welcoming three folks that made this festival happen. Joana Vicente, Sundance Institute CEO, who led this year's festival. Kim Yutani, Sundance Film Festival, Director of Programming. John Nein, Senior Programmer and Strategic Initiatives Director. John, welcome. All right, let's get settled in. I wrote some stuff down. Joanna, I'm going to come back to you in a second. Kim, you took the role of Festival Director of Programming in 2018. When did you start at Sundance?
My first year at Sundance, working at the festival, was 2007. That was my first year as a shorts programmer. So a lot of years have gone by since then.
And you were here with a film that's actually in the festival before that.
Yes, you're revealing this very early in the process. Yes, I was Greg Araki's assistant on the film The Doom Generation, which is part of the From the Collection screenings. So.
John, I know you've been here since the 90s. John goes way back.
I did. I started coming here in 1996 before I worked here.
And then you joined us on staff.
And I joined on staff in 2001, 2002. So yeah, it's been a long time. But I still get the same jolt of energy making that drive up the mountain and coming into town that I did that first year, where you have no idea what to expect. You just know that there's going to be something magical. And maybe that's compounded these last couple of years because we haven't been here. So yeah, I still get excited coming up.
Yeah, it was special coming my 30th anniversary of my first Sundance, 1993, and I felt the same thing driving in earlier this week. Just like hits you. And, we got some snow to sort of add to the magic too. Well, Joanna, I know you've been here for over a year now, and I know we're all excited to be back in person in Park City. We have plenty of news to talk about and to discuss throughout our conversation today, and to talk about this year's festival and putting it together. This is your first in-person Sundance Film Festival as CEO.
Yes.
How's that feel?
It feels amazing. First, I want to just thank everyone for being here. We are thrilled to welcome you back. It's just incredible. I mean, I was watching the trailer and I was moved. That's ridiculous. My children would make fun of me, but it feels just so good to be back in person, to welcome press, the industry, audiences, and to be here to celebrate the incredible films that this amazing programming team selected. So really excited to be here. Last year, I came in and I had to decide to make a quick pivot to digital. And it just, I mean, there's nothing like the magic of being together here in Park City. I remember, I think my first time here was in '94 with a short film, and I've been coming back, I think, almost every year. And I'm just going to take a minute,
sure.
Since, we're just starting. I just really want to acknowledge the incredible support of our sponsors. We really couldn't do what we do without them. So big shout out to Acura, AMC Networks, Chase Sapphire, Adobe, and of course, Utah, our festival host state. I also want to to acknowledge Robert Redford. He's not here this year at the festival, but like, what an incredible vision to create this incredible space for all of us to come together to celebrate storytelling and to enable audiences to discover these works. So just wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you. And I'm going to just do two more acknowledgements, if you don't mind. One is just really received this morning very sad news that, incredible independent film producer who has had many, many films at Sundance, who I had the chance to collaborate with on a film, The Guys, Ed Pressman, passed away yesterday. So we just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge his incredible contribution to the independent film space. And also my dear friend, TIFF programmer, Ravi Srinivasan. Really, I'll miss him dearly, and just wanted to also acknowledge him. Thank you.
Kim, it takes a whole team to put this festival together. We have 3 leaders of that team sitting here on this stage, but there's so many other staff and volunteers. But also, there's a programming team. You all watched 16,000 films for this year's program, 16,000. So before we dig into questions and talk about this year's festival, I think it'd be an opportunity to acknowledge your
Yeah,
colleagues.
I would love to do that. Thanks, Eugene. We have some of the programmers here with us, but I just want to say that it truly does take a huge team of us to get through the submissions that we receive. These are incredibly knowledgeable, funny, super smart people who we have the pleasure of working with throughout the year, but very intensely in the fall. And I just want to acknowledge them each individually and just have them stand and wave so that you can all see who they are. I'm going to start with Shari Freelo. Shari, where are you? Oh, there you are. Shari is a senior programmer and chief curator of New Frontier. Charlie Sextro, senior programmer. Basil Sioko, senior programmer. Heidi Zwicker, senior programmer. We also have Sudeep Sharma, programmer. Anya Shebyatovska, programmer. And Anya also put together the Beyond Film panels this year and did an incredible job. I also want to acknowledge Ash Hoyle, programmer. And Stephanie Owens, programmer. Oh, Anna is hiding. Sorry. Anna Souza, who is a programmer and also manages the programming department, and we would not be able to do anything without her. So welcome, Anna. And thanks all for being here, and it's great that we did it. We're here. We're in Park City.
I started in this, coming into this new role, and I started November 1st, and it was just such a beautiful experience to be in LA with this programming team as they were finalizing, making the tough decisions that led to the program you're about to experience. So hats off to this entire team and to the programmers and to the entire team of staff and volunteers who you will be seeing on the ground here in Utah, and those who are working from home as well to give the best experience possible to folks online and throughout this festival experience. So kudos. Okay, so let's dig into some questions. I got some questions that I wrote. I know that some folks who couldn't be here have sent in some questions, and we'll take some questions from the audience. Let's dig in. So Joanna, the festival's now in its 39th year. And but it's part of the work of the Sundance Institute as a not-for-profit, the work that it does year-round. So I thought maybe as a way to sort of start the conversation, it might be helpful to hear a bit more about how the festival fits into the year-round work of the Institute as a whole.
Great. So, of course, the festival is the most well-known program that we do, you know, at Sundance. But really, as Robert Redford says, like the engine, I mean, the most important work happens really year-round with all of the work nurturing and supporting artists. And then the festival is this amazing platform to showcase the work and to celebrate and share it with audiences. We have a number of residential labs and grants and a number of incredible programs. And I just came from the Writers Lab. I see Michelle Seta in the room. Just incredible work that happens when you have, you know, incredible curatorial team finding the brightest, most exciting storytellers, and then you bring these incredible established advisors who are so passionate about helping filmmakers and helping bringing those stories to life and helping them through the process. And it was really just a wonderful preparation to come to festival to experience firsthand the impact that work has.
Following up on that, do you want to share maybe some of the things that are sort of new this year, or so what's sort of how the festival has evolved a bit, or sort of lay that foundation for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So the festival, of course, has evolved tremendously these past 2 years. I think it's incredible what Sundance has done these past 2 years, being able to have a virtual festival that was still able to bring the community together and to launch these films. So that has been incredible. So it felt like we can't just go back. We really need to go forward. We need to take the incredible learnings of these past 2 years, the ability to reach audiences across the U.S., to reach film lovers and film students, to reach press and industry internationally that maybe cannot afford to come to Sundance. So it really made the festival so much more accessible to people. So we are excited to continue to build on that. We have a robust digital offering. We have, I think, over 80 films that will be on the digital platform. But of course, we recognize that the most important thing about festival is really bringing the community together in person. And that's magic is not replaceable by anything. Just being here, having conversations, getting immersed in the films, attending talks. I mean, that's where it all happens. And we wanted to make sure that we were prioritizing that in-person experience. We also were excited to see how can we lean a bit more into Salt Lake. We now have the Megaplex at the Gateway, and again, just excited to see if we can attract younger, more diverse audiences to Sundance. Maybe people that feel that Sundance is not for them, that all of a sudden maybe it's easier to experience the films. So those are some of the things that we're doing. I mean, I think the Sundance, I mean, we live in this space of risk-taking. We can experiment and we can learn from the experiments. So it's always a work in progress, and we're excited to see what the learnings from this year will be, and excited to be collaborating with you, Eugene, as we take all of these learnings and design next year.
Thank you. And as an observation, I've been here for the past week and spent some time in Salt Lake City this week, checking out some of these new venues that you all have chosen, and to the press who work locally here in the Salt Lake City and Park City area and the greater Utah area. Some really great opportunities out in Salt Lake at some really terrific venues to watch the entire program this whole week. So I hope you'll get a chance to do that yourself, and to encourage your viewers and listeners and readers to jump in and check out the festival. Kim and John and Joanna, I wanted to sort of give us time to sort of build a foundation for this conversation by talking a bit about the program and some of the films and some of the sort of broader topics that come from your process. And I've like I said, I came in, I started at Sundance just as you were locking the program, so I've had the opportunity since starting to watch all the films in the festival. And it's clear to me, from my vantage point, that it's such a wide-ranging program. It's easy to say there's something for everyone, but there is such a wide range and representation of what international independent film is today. So I'll start with Kim. When you take a step back, Kim, and look at the full program now, what do you see?
I think that's right, Eugene. When you say that there's something for everyone in this program, I think that is true, and that is by design. We have a group of programmers who come from different backgrounds, have different perspectives, embrace different types of films and forms, and I think the combination of all of us contributing to this one program, that's what makes it what it is. And I think that is an essential part of what we do. And you know, I think when you look at the program, you see so many different genres and styles and approaches to storytelling that, to me, it's very exciting to kind of take that step back and look at what the work we've done, and all of the filmmakers that whose careers we are launching, revisiting. You know, I think that there's a lot to dig into.
Mm-hmm. And maybe when you look at the program, also to look at some of the late additions to the program, because we, of course, announced most of the films in early December, but then since then we've announced a couple of films, including some from returning filmmakers, which is always fun. John Carney, who first came here with his film Once, and then several years later with Sing Street, has a new film called Flora and Sun with Eva Hewson and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which is a very funny romantic musical film. There is Peter Nix, who's had many films at the festival, who has a film about Steph Curry that we are very excited about. I think a lot of people are excited about. It happens to be playing on an off day. And then we have another film that we're very excited about, very kind of intense, harrowing film, Escaping Utopia from Madeline Gavin, which is going into the documentary competition. And then I think two of the most extraordinary first features we've seen for years. Celine Song, who has made a name for herself as a playwright, has a film called Past Lives. And then Savannah Leaf, former athlete, who has made a first feature that is just so striking and beautiful, called Earth Mama. And those were all recent additions to the program that we announced a couple weeks ago.
Let's dig a little bit deeper into, I always hate to use the word themes, but it's sort of like threads, I guess. Like for all of you, you know, what are sort of the threads or the through lines that sometimes you can only really see in programming once you have kind of put the whole program together and added the last minute films that you do. So what do you all see as some of those threads?
I mean, for me, first I just want to say, like, what an extraordinary experience to just having been part of the selection of the films and seeing this incredible programming team do something which is really unique, where everyone saw each film that was in contention for to be in the festival, and just the incredible perspectives and that everyone was bringing to the table was just like fascinating, and just an incredible, rigorous and thoughtful process. And so much of it is about discovering new voices. So that's, I think, really, really unique to Sundance. But to me, I think that the most interesting thing that kind of came out of it, not only just kind of this, just how these incredible new filmmakers are just so vibrant and diverse and exciting, but also just how they reflect the world that we live in. I mean, we live in this much more interconnected world where everything affects everyone. We're all dealing with the issues of our time. So whether it's the war in Ukraine or climate change or, freedom of press and expression being under threat. I mean, so many of these big themes are present in everything that we see.
Yeah, I think one of the things that it's not a theme. That's probably my least favorite question to all you press out there. One of the things that was very striking this year was just how many documentaries we received about people. Like the biographical documentary was just exploding this year. So, and I think we had to make very difficult decisions because there are so many people's stories that are worth telling and showing the world. But I think what we have in the program is again the range of stories. We have people we have like the 80s superstars, Michael J. Fox and Brooke Shields, who have wonderful documentaries made about them. Steph Curry, as John mentioned, and then there's some of the people who are maybe known in certain in certain pockets of culture. There's a film about Namjoon Paik that is incredible. Like this is an amazing first feature by Amanda Kim. There's Michelle Stevenson and Joe Brewster's film, Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni project. And I think that one of the things that we really loved in this process is just meeting these people, seeing their lives more clearly and in depth. And it was and that was a real pleasure. And then there's another film that I want to mention called Twice Colonized, which is one of the most striking portraits of a person. It focuses on the indigenous lawyer and activist Aju Peter, and absolutely kind of a very naked kind of look at this person, and that's one that I haven't been able to forget since I saw it.
I would just say that notion of a sort of global community of filmmakers that you were talking about, Joanna. What I think is really interesting is that it's a group of people who are looking at those world issues, but through a lens which is very, very unique to them, right? And so it's really framed by their experiences and point of view. And to me, it kind of addresses this idea of why it's at a film festival. And so when we see those works, for example, about the Ukraine, the two documentaries, 20 Days in Mariupol and Iron Butterflies, those are very unique, distinctive ways of looking at that conflict, and in fact, reflecting on conflict zone reporting to begin with, and then other, I think of like 5 Seasons of Revolution about Syria, or Militantandu about South Africa, and on the fiction side, Shada, which is made by, it comes from Australia, about an Iranian woman whose struggle is essentially with the right to live life on her terms. And if you think about that in the sort of framework of what's happening in Iran, these are very urgent stories, but they're also very personal stories. Shade is a very personal story. It's one of several Iranian films, dealing with diaspora storytelling, and I think that's another part of that global sort of trend of who is making films and exploring diasporic storytelling. You see it in some of the UK films, in Polite Society, and in Girl, and even films in the US, which I think is really interesting. I think of Accidental Getaway Driver, which is a beautiful film that really kind of deals with the Vietnamese diaspora community in Southern California. So I think that's an idea of a very distinctive point of view on those world issues.
One of the, picking up on that, and Kim, I'm going to go to you. One of the things that's been rejuvenating for me coming back to Sundance every year, and certainly in the days at IndieWire, is the continued focus by Sundance, the embrace of boldness and risk-taking. That can take many forms, and there's no shortage of boldness and risk-taking, and building on what Joanna was saying about the sort of so many potential obstacles and challenges facing expression. When you sort of think about this year's program, I want to sort of ask a quick question about that, just sort of the continuity of and the commitment of independent filmmakers to taking risks and expressing themselves boldly?
I mean, I think you see that kind of boldness of storytelling throughout our program. But I would probably single out our next section, which very deliberately and outwardly is the section that is geared towards innovation. And you see a lot of formal risks being taken in this particular program. We're showing 9 films, and there are fiction films, there are documentaries, there are films that are kind of in between. And I think that section is such an exciting section to put together, because each film is so different to each other, to one another. And I think that this is a section where, when I know people love to be surprised and are not going in with any kind of expectations and are willing to be open, this is the section I always tell people, go see something in next. I won't even tell you which film, because it's a surprise. And I think that that is one of the most satisfying aspects of putting together a Sundance program.
Thank you. I think this one's sort of start with Joanna, and then we can build from there, pivot away from sort of individual film conversation and maybe taking a step back and looking at sort of the ecosystem that we live in. Obviously, we're in a new year. Joanna, and the whole world has shifted over the past couple of years. And as we head into this festival, head into this new year, what do you see as Sundance's place as it relates to festivals, and also the urgency of independent film and the issues facing independent film in particular right now?
I mean, I feel that in a way, like, film festivals are more important than ever, because they create this space where we come together to celebrate film, to discover new voices, and to have those moments of being surprised, of going into a screening that you know nothing about. And that's usually the things that kind of shake you and transform you and make you think. So I think it's so important that we come together, the industry comes together. We know there's been a lot of consolidation in the industry. We know that theatrical exhibition is difficult for specialty films. How do we figure out together how to continue to have people be curious about these kinds of films that really kind of, can shake you, that take risks, that are original visions, that offer in different perspectives, that challenge the status quo? How do we develop audiences? How do we call attention for these incredible films? And that's part of the role of a festival. So in a way, I think it's more important than ever. And I'm excited to as a community, to figure it out, like, how do we continue to build a way that we have this really vibrant ecosystem, that we don't live in a kind of monolithic society where, we're all watching the same kind of things, but that we open space for the difference and for things that we haven't heard before. Nicely said.
Seems like the metrics of success are, for Sundance, and for all of us who've been coming for a long time, it was easy to judge the success of a festival on the number of deals or how big the deals were, but the metrics of success are just so much more complex now.
I agree. I think that as we look at each festival, we're looking at it almost on an individual project level. Like, I think that there's so much that happens on the mountain that we don't see. We might hear about things anecdotally. We hear about directors getting their next gig, or people meeting their next collaborators on the shuttle. There's so much about the kind of serendipity of a festival and just being open to the experience of possibility. And I think that is something that makes festivals in general, but specific to Sundance, I think that that is something that is an undercurrent that is such an important aspect of what we do.
Thank you. John, as I was kind of shaping some of these questions, I was thinking about some of my own questions that I had when I started and started tackling and myself, digging into the lineup. And so I'm thinking about some of the questions that sitting in that in one of these seats as a journalist I would have. And I want to see if you would share with us maybe some of the performances, some of the directors that audiences will be talking about this week and after the festival's over.
Yeah, I mean, and it's such a hard question because, in some ways we want people to be talking about all these films for different reasons. I do think looking at, what strikes me is the tremendous sort of vitality and originality that storytellers have put into pushing the form and sort of finding ways to infuse their work with narrative and poetic energy in a way that makes them distinctive. And so I hope that is what people talk about. And I'm thinking of filmmakers like, Raven Jackson or Chloe Dumont or Elijah Bynum, Sing Lee, Savannah Leaf. Like, these are films that are really stretching the form in exciting ways. I hope that is recognized. And yeah, performances always. I think we've always felt that there are amazing performances that come out of the festival. That's certainly true this year. Jonathan Majors in Magazine Dreams, Eugenio Derbez in Radical, and there are, I think there are some really Cynthia Erivo in Drift, and also groundbreaking new performances from actors and actresses who we're not necessarily familiar with. We have a cinema cafe on Monday with some fresh voices. Priya Kansara, who's in Polite Society, Leo Mihil in Mutt, and I'm forgetting who the third person on the panel is. And I would say to move beyond that panel also, extraordinary groundbreaking performances that I think will stand out. Lola Campbell in Scrapper, and one that I really love because maybe it stretches our sense of what that even means, but Hip Jung Nia, who is the Vietnamese actor in Accidental Getaway Driver, who I think turns 81 right about now, is amazing, and I don't know that any of us had ever seen him in a film before. And so I love that, these are the discoveries too that come out of the festival, are these performances and sort of this idea of people who are really creatively pushing the form.
I'm getting the signal that we have a few more minutes before we pivot to take some audience and press questions, but so I want to hit a couple more quick points, and then we'll do that. We've talked a lot about discovery, we talked about new voices, Kim, but I think it's probably worth taking a moment to also reflect and comment on some of the more familiar artists that might be in the slate. Folks might be familiar.
Yeah, I think that we have a few alums who are in this year's program. It's always great to be able to continue to support artists throughout their careers. And I know that Sundance is an important place to them because of the community that we convene and just the audience reactions that they get. They know what it's like. So I'm thinking specifically of Iris Sachs. I think that the film we're showing Passages. I think this is his 6th film at Sundance. We have Nicole Holofcener. We have Sebastian Silva, who has been in pretty much every section in the program, including shorts. I think he just needs to make an episodic project to round it out. So throwing down the gauntlet for Sebastian. And we have Davis Guggenheim, Justin Chan. So it's always really wonderful to have people who launch their careers at Sundance continue to come back and share their work with us.
And Roger Ross Williams going in a...
Roger, yes. Actually, Roger Ross Williams, this is he's showing the film Cassandra this year. This is his first fiction feature, so we're really excited about that.
And that's one that was supported by the Institute. It's also nice to see that I think we have 17 projects, doc and fiction, that have been supported by the Institute that are at the festival. Roger is one of them, A.V. Rockwell, with 2001, Starling Girl, just to name a few, and on the doc side, King Cole, Bad Press. So really excited to also welcome some of those filmmakers who have been part of our family already.
Building on that, John, you have this 16,000 entries. You have so much to try to harness as you're going into the programming process. You've got films that are coming through the labs and filmmakers that have been part of the festival or that have been supported by the Institute. And then you in particular and the team have done so much work to also track beyond and to expand the reach of tracking films from around the world. So I just wanted, before we sort of switch to questions, I want to sort of give a second to sort of think about sort of how that is evolving and how you're sort of reaching out in new ways to get access to films from around the world to consider for the for the program.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the aspects of programming, and certainly our staff, that is maybe is not as widely known, which is just the sheer amount of time and effort that the programmers put into tracking outreach, relationship building internationally in order to know what work is out there, in order to be part of the ecosystem that is filtering that work, and where we're, the ear is to the ground to find out which filmmakers are really exciting and that are coming up, and which institutions and organizations in other countries are supporting them. And to me, it also speaks to this idea of how we think about the festival and this idea that Sundance has been so long associated with discovery, certainly with American films, but that is now really extending to international films, and that this idea of what independence means, it means something to filmmakers in different countries. It means something different to people in different countries, but that's really exciting for us. And so that is a very laborious, although joyful process, because I think we enjoy that part of trying to be on the lookout for new exciting work. But it's a huge amount of work, and I think we're very proud of the results as the festival continues to sort of edify its identity around discovery internationally, instead of just American.
Yeah, I just said I think we have 28 countries represented and a lot of first-time filmmakers, really exciting voices that we're excited to share with everyone.
Before we start taking questions from the audience, I don't want to leave out short films. Nearly 15,000 entries, 64 shorts selected. Do you want to just sort of...
It was 11,000.
11,000
Yes.
films, sorry, oh my God.
That would leave only 1,000
Yeah.
features. This is, I think this is a program that is close to me. I think the 10 shorts programmers do such an incredible job of getting through that incredible, huge mountain of submissions. The process is led by Mike Plant, who isn't here, and Heidi Zwicker. And I think that the shorts program is such a great place of discovery. We've talked about discovery today a lot, but this is where I always direct people who are looking for new talent, like new storytellers, new ways of telling stories. It's such rich terrain for that, and the 65 films that we're showing this year, and they have the same range of styles, forms, and concerns, and really excited to launch these today, actually.
Yeah, watch those shorts. I have to say, just having been at the Writers Lab, as I said at the beginning, so many of those filmmakers had shorts at the festival these past 2 years, and now we see them with the script, and it was just great to again see those shorts.
Yeah. I used the term, Joanna, I used the term something for everyone earlier. As it relates to the industry, you were talking about this earlier, what do you see as the future priorities for independent film, or how it's evolving right now? What are the things that you're thinking about?
I think we all need to figure out how do we continue to cultivate audiences? How do we bring more diverse and younger audiences to be excited about independent film. So I think that's something that we all need to work together. And what is our role to not just launch and give this incredible platform and start conversations here, but how can we help amplify? So that's something that we want to have more conversations about.
So it's 65 shorts, a program of 110 features. Kim, as we said, a lot happening, and we're going to talk for a few more minutes and give people a chance to start watching movies. But one more film? Why not?
Yes, we always have something up our sleeve. I guess you would make it 111 features. So we have one film to announce today. It's we've talked a lot about personal stories and also kind of how just the power of film, especially exemplified through documentary filmmaking. We are going to world premiere the film Justice, which is director Doug Liman's first documentary feature. This is a film that focuses on the allegations against Brett Kavanaugh and the investigation that ensued. It's a very powerful documentary that we felt was important to add. We saw it practically yesterday. And it's a film that I think challenges existing narratives. I think it asks tough questions, and I think it also provokes conversation, which is what we hope all of our films in the program do.
So Justice is having its world premiere tomorrow at 8:30 at the Park Avenue, and P&I screening at 10 p.m. 10 p.m. tomorrow night. Thank you. Okay. Let me switch. We've got some questions from the press that some folks have already sent in questions, and actually there's some folks who couldn't be here or are participating in the festival virtually. So I've selected a few of those as well. And if you have a question also, let me know and raise your hand. We try to get to as many of these as we can in the next few minutes that we have. One question that came from the Hollywood Reporter. So I'll start with this one. It was an online question from Chris Gardner from the Hollywood Reporter, and that is the something we've talked about already, Joanna. The challenges facing Sundance in 2023, bringing the festival back. So maybe I'll ask you to do both sides of that. What are the biggest challenges facing Sundance 2023, and also what are the biggest wins? What do you feel now good about?
Right. I mean, it's always challenging to come back to a big live event after not doing it for 2 years. It's almost like we all need to relearn how we do this. Also, financially, it's been a tough 2 years for the Institute and, for everyone, really. So how to, do what we usually do with huge ambition, but at the same time, not have all of the resources. And also just, it's a tough environment out there to get films made. It was great that we have a big selection of films. And the big wins is when we're here. Hello. It's pretty amazing that we're here. We have an incredible selection of films and other kinds of programs, and then it's just exciting to be back at the mountain. Other big wins.
We're here. And I think I already feel the energy here, just walking through the festival headquarters and running into filmmakers. Everybody's so excited to be back in person. The last 2 years have been successful, but there, as Joanna has said many times today, that there's nothing that can replace the in-person experience of watching films in an audience on a big screen.
You feel it, and I've felt it, John. I've noticed it. Just whether it was this morning meeting the jurors and jurors coming together for the first time and having a chance to connect as they start watching movies, meeting the volunteers this week and staff as they're checking in. It's a palpable something that we took for granted, I guess, for a long time, because these rituals that we all have. Our year starts here, right? But
well, and also the audience. I mean, sorry, the filmmakers. Like this, we're here for the filmmakers means to have that moment of connection and response to the films, and it's so rewarding. And it's something that maybe we did take for granted. It was a joy to watch, and whether it's the first time that they're walking up, that anticipation or whatever, the Q&As. But I think it's meaningful for us to see how meaningful it is for them.
Again, some folks sent in questions in advance, and I think actually Benjamin from Salt Lake City Weekly. I think you're actually here though, so I don't need to read your question. There you are. Hi, welcome. We're safety and health and wellness. We're not going to pass you a mic, so if you just mind yelling.
Yes, of course. You touched on this earlier, but I'm curious about whether the hybrid format should be a new normal for us, or whether we should expect ongoing changes as the world kind of settles on.
And for the folks listening and watching at home, this is a question about the hybrid format, the new normal, or
it might be the new
evolution?
normal. I think, one festival at a time. We're going to take the learnings. This is our first really hybrid festival since these past 2 years. Even though last year it was built as a hybrid festival, we ended up just having to do it virtually. So we're gonna learn a lot, but we are definitely very excited about the access that gives and the accessibility that gives. And it was just interesting fact, the digital packages sold out like this. So there's a demand for it, but we also want to recognize that, to what John and Kim have been saying, like their moment with the artists, where they're showing their film for the first time to a live audience, nothing replaces that. And we always want to prioritize that.
I'm going to watch for hands, but I'm also going to keep going. I can't see you very well, but hi. Yes. Question from Scott from the Park Record about New Frontier.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Scott. This year, New Frontier, we are showing 3 experimental films as part of our New Frontier section. Shari Freelo and her team are taking a moment to reevaluate, to incubate their ideas, to do some research, but also to convene some artists to look at what the future of New Frontier is, and we're excited to give that team the space that they need in order to look at what New Frontier is moving forward.
I think, Ben, you sent in a question, but I think you might be here, so we can just take it from you in person. Is Ben Dalton here? Yeah, you.
Yes, hi there, hi, it's Ben from Screen International. I think it's partly been covered, but it was just sort of asking if you talk a bit more about some of the difficulties of the past couple of years and how you've addressed those in, what practical things you've done. Is it involved retraining staff to sort of address?
For those listening at home, question about, it's related to COVID and sort of how you sort of relaunch a festival in this environment. Actually, and it connects to a question I was going to get to from Margie Murphy online as well. So I'll just add that in, and you all can take that as well. Margie from Bloomberg News asked, "Can you talk about the impact COVID has also had on the film industry?" So a little bit 2 parts.
Great. So in terms of putting, this is a huge live event, and it's obviously complicated, and it's further complicated by, the pandemic, and it's still going on, and we're obviously hoping that everyone does the best they can to keep themselves safe and others safe. So, really taking into consideration all of those health and safety issues, doing things, there's inflation, things cost more money, and you need to still put everything together with less resources. Also, a lot of us are new, including myself, so learning from the people who've been here and done this a million times, but at the same time, really taking advantage of, sometimes it's good that someone is new and bringing new perspectives. But we're taking it as an experiment, it's not going to be perfect, but that is the spirit of Sundance. We need to take risks. We put our best foot forward, and together we'll learn from these and continue to aspire to do better.
There's just a couple of minutes left. Go ahead, Eric. Yeah, go ahead. Question about through lines you might see from the selection that connects to sort of the health of the financial side. What's getting financed, what's getting made, connections to that side of things.
So I can start, and then I'd love you guys to weigh in. But I think you see films that are coming in with distributors that are really exciting films that usually maybe would be hot acquisition titles. So that's interesting, but they're being launched at the festival. We also know that we don't know what kind of market it's going to be, that people are trying to understand what is the new business model for independent film. So there are a lot of questions, but at the same time, I just feel like it's an extraordinary year in terms of like new talent being launched here. So I'm excited to see what does that look like.
Yeah, I think, the title that you just brought up, you didn't say it, but it's Nanny. I think that the success of films like Nanny that are taking those kinds of risks and are exploring genre in different ways, that those are stories that open the door for more stories to be told. And I think that is something that always happens at Sundance, and so I think like these kinds of discoveries and the doors that they open, I think that's what I see the potential for within this program. Like I don't see any one type of film dominating our program this year. I feel like we have hard-hitting dramas. We have films that are taking formal risks. We have films that are comedies that are just crowd pleasers. And I think that again, this is by design of our program. And so I hope that there, and especially because there's 80% of our program, I think, is for sale. That the opportunity for films to get bought and to find bigger audiences, that it all feels like opportunity to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, one more.
Like, they're not necessarily mutually exclusive. There are so many films that I think we would point out in the program that display real ingenuity and also have some remarkable standout performances from actors who are more well known and have become that way because they're really good actors. But I do think when you break down the program this year and in the many years before, there are so many films in which those films met their audience that was very responsive. And maybe, it's one of the things that's cool about a festival is that it's outside those market
programs, more films as you're shaping the program, I should say.
I mean, I think we live in that space where we do need to show films that we feel have the artistic merit to be in the festival, but there might be pushing the envelope. I think that's the space that Sundance occupies, and I think it's important that we don't shy away from controversial films. With the curation of films, that also comes huge responsibility on how we present, the conversations that we have around those films. But I think it's a really important topic for us to keep very present and not be in a position where we would shy away from there.
I know that we're, as a team and as a staff and as a huge group of people, full-time, part-time, volunteer, we are just so excited for you to experience this festival with us in person once again. Thank you to 3 folks here, Joanna, Kim, and John, to our programming team, to folks who aren't in this room right now who make this festival possible. Please be safe and healthy and have a great experience. We look forward to spending time with you the next few days. And thank you for your commitment to being a part of this festival and to helping share the stories of the filmmakers who will be bringing their films to the screen this week. So thank you, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you.